What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Jerk Cyphus, aka Garden here. Hey, it's another Friday, another show. Friday the 13th, by the way. Spooky time. Might do something tonight. We'll see how the spouse approves about it. Also, with the 13th of September, congrats to the active duty chief petty officers who are currently getting pinned. And good luck to the reserve chief selects out there around the world who are going through their final night. And with that, I would like to remind not just the Navy, but every service that, by all means, continue to execute your traditions, but do so in a manner that conveys dignity and respect. Try to avoid hazing. We all know what hazing is by now. Try to avoid it. Eliminate it if you can, because I'm sure we've already seen the news. Those who are already in the service, we're already familiar with the stories from over the summer of a few people having to do push-ups and feces. Let's not get too deep into that story, but if you've heard about it, awesome. If not, link of that story will be in the description below. But don't haze. Treat people with dignity and respect. This is an age of PR we live in, and our service could use all the good PR we can get. Also with me, health is improving. My focus and energy are getting better every day. This is actually a surprisingly good day compared to last night, which I had a terrible migraine. I didn't stream last night because of issues with Streamlabs kind of fucking up on me and said migraine. My weight loss seems to be slowing a little bit, not necessarily hitting a plateau, but my BMI is still steadily slimming, so I'm going to take that as a good thing. And just based on what I'm wearing today, I can already tell you there's a new wardrobe in my future. I would say by the first week of October, I'm going to have to go a size down in literally everything I own. So maybe I'll just keep doing bench presses so my chest stays big and I can keep some of my big shirts I like and love, like my, Friends from Work shirt that I have because I'm a big Marvel fan. And let's continue with this good and bad and the ugly routine that we've been doing here. Good news, Borderlands 3 is out today. It's being reviewed well. Or is it? More to follow. Star Trek Online Awakening was out this week, Tuesday, streamed it, was great. I'm telling you, Anthony Rapp's performance was fucking badass. Not to take away from Mary Wiseman, Jason Isaacs, or Rekha Sharma, but there's a reason why Anthony Rapp has such renown from being on the stage, because this guy can act. No matter what venue he's in, he nails it. And I don't want to give away any spoilers for Discovery Season 1 or 2, especially for those who haven't seen it. Just know there's a lot of dots for those connected very, very well, and he does a good job of conveying that. I guess that hole that needed to be filled, where we had a lot of questions. He did a really, really good job of connecting it. Between him and the STO writers, they were really good. Some people felt it was a little rushed. I liked it. I actually pretty much liked it a lot. I think the story of the Lorca and Landry arc was a little bit better structured per se. But I like what the Mycelial Network arc is starting to convey with the whole Jewel arc, and I still want to kill that bitch. Anyway, next week I'll be playing on my Romulan because Romulans are badass, and people love to watch me play on my Romulan. Apparently because it encourages me to drink Romulan ale and butcher my liver. Fine, I'll do it for y'all since you asked for it. Romulan ale, playing on my Romulan, doing more Awakening next Tuesday. Also, Anthony Rapp liked my tweet about my stream, so tune in next week, please. Star Wars Galaxies news. Great Star Wars Galaxies news, I hope, here. I have a possible solution for the out-of-memory crash regarding textures, which, by the way, has nothing to do with coding. You know who you are. And it's not necessarily ILM related. This is an old 32-bit client. And these TRES files, using the JavaScripting they're doing, seem to be a little much for the client to handle on some machines. I recently this week had people convey their L2, L3 cache information for their CPUs to me to see if there was any correlation. I'd already done research on GPUs, already done research on RAM, and couldn't find any correlation. I was able to get some relief by expanding the virtual memory in the drive that I have Galaxies installed on. That helped a little bit, which is what kind of made me go, okay, page files also help with memory cache in a CPU. So I was like, all right, let's look at this a little more closely. Problem is, there's like an 8 gig a second cap with what that 32-bit client can run. And if it's trying to draw all that at once from one file, you're going to run into issues. So one of the things I'm going to have to do, apart from trimming the gloat down with ILM, is I'm going to have to take ILM out of TRES format. Yes, that unsecures my work. Yes, that puts it at risk for it to be taken to another project. But the benefit outweighs the cost if people can play it crash-free. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. Also, how this is going to affect the TRES files used by the project itself, that's something we'll address at the project level. And I'll let folks, our PR folks like Rorash, Walmart, Talia, I'll let them come forward with what our plan as a team is to do with that. Elor, give him some credit. The guy is an incredible coder. The dude knows how to do his job. It's just, it doesn't work well with ILM, and that's not necessarily his fault. It's just we had to take a chance with it to try and protect the work. It didn't work out. That's fine. I'm willing to accept the risk of the work being stolen if it means people can play it crash-free. With that, that means there's going to be a lot more promos, a lot more work on my end, doing the promos, the videos, the trailers, the streaming, to show that, yes, this is a Legends first project. If it pops up on another project, good for them. If they don't take credit for it, people already know it was on Legends first. Word will get out. Big community on Legends. It'll take care of itself. That leads me into the next thing about why ILM 2.5, despite what the community transmission said, why is ILM 2.5 not being publicly released? There's a couple reasons for that. The reshade being developed in coordination kind of alongside ILM 3 kind of needs to be developed with each increment from 2.5 towards 3, and I don't want that kind of whiplash effect on the community. That's one reason. 2, because we're going from TRES to unsecured TRE files that people can hack with Sittner's IFF Explorer, it means I have to select a very, very trusted team of people to help me test this. Those of you who've been identified, you already know who you are. If you're in my Discord, you already know who you are. There's also some toxic members of the community, you already know who you are, whose sole purpose is to decry and talk shit about ILM every chance they get. I don't know if it's just jealousy, if they genuinely don't like ILM, or if they're just trolls for the sake of being trolls. I don't care, but I don't need unsecured ILM work out there, months before my final version, my hopefully magnum opus comes out, with them ruining the experience for other people with their dirty language. I'm gonna have to take the ILM visuals file and trim that into multiple volumes. And the reason why is because there's only so much that this client will read at a time. When I went from TRES ILM to all TRE, my instances of crashing were greatly reduced. Anytime ILM would crash me, it was always the ILM underscore visual TRE file, the 1.7 gig file. Huge file. And yes, that was concerning. It still took 3 to 4 hours for that to cause a crash, because most of my other out-of-memory crashes, as Skywell Express has already stated, apparently just went out there and stated it in Discord last night. It does happen without ILM as well. I have disabled ILM a few times in the past, and I have run on a solid-state drive Galaxies without ILM, without any of my work even in the folders, and have still crashed. And it's always the same 3 or 4 TREs that are doing it. And more often than not, though, it's the TRE containing the Vulptex and the TRE containing the Rebel and Imperial faction houses. Again, that's something the team is just going to have to look at. We're going to have to research it. It's going to be an ongoing thing that we're going to research going forward. We'll figure it out. I get that we want to protect our work, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made. I'm going to be the one to rip the Band-Aid off first. I'm not going to be the one to tell this staff to rip off the Band-Aid and go with a simpler, more optimized approach. That's not my place, and I'm not going to do that. So with that, there will be an ILM 3 trailer tonight. Yippee! Finally! And stay tuned because there's going to be a lot more in the future. The bad news, back to Borderlands 3 and NBA 2K20 while we're at it. They're getting review bombed by users. There's even been reports of 2K games manipulating reviews. I know it sounds a little tinfoil hatty, but the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, Metacritic. Read it for yourselves. There's plenty of Googling you can do on this topic. It's not looking good for 2K games right now. And while we're at the bad news, Bethesda continues to push non-cosmetic microtransactions in Fallout 76 despite prior promises. It shows that if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. See it for yourself. This freaking the refrigerator is silly to begin with, but you can read it. You can see it. Pay to win. Right there in your face. Let's go out and salvage some stuff. Let's go out and protect our stuff for a little extra money. You give an inch, they take a mile. Y'all keep allowing this, keep opening your wallets, they're going to keep doing this. You have to understand, Elder Scrolls 6 fans, Elder Scrolls in general fans are a little concerned because we're also dealing with Elder Scrolls Blades on mobile that have these little treasure chests that you can open like once an hour, once every couple hours, once a day, that you can accelerate that time for opening by buying and consuming gems. Is this sounding familiar to people who played a game called Game of War? Maybe? Sound familiar? Yeah. That's where they're going. And that's what has some people worried about Elder Scrolls 6, is that are they going to take that and what they've gotten away with Fallout 76 and whoosh. We hope not. Bethesda, we're watching. Don't fuck this up. Now for ugly news. Parliament recommends banning loot box sales to children. It finally happened. Folks, it finally happened. And my concern with that is now, even though the government's current stance is that it's not gambling, it's getting to the point to where you have a parliamentary committee now pushing the idea that, oh yes, by the way, it is gambling. People in other countries are saying, oh yes, by the way, it's gambling. Pretty soon U.S. Congress is going to start saying, oh yes, by the way, it's gambling. And why is it gambling? We know it's gambling. We as players, we're smarter than this. We know it's gambling because anytime you have a random chance, whether it's a slot machine mechanic like what we've seen in other games, the trailer to 2K20, anytime you have a random chance mechanic in opening some kind of loot box or other container, yada, 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 and it's something of value that can be traded on the in-game market or traded to another player for real currency, it automatically has value, whether that's virtual or actual. That makes it gambling. When the random chance is only something you can receive, like what you have in Destiny, that's a little bit, that's where you enter the gray area. Okay? And that's why I don't like the egregious monetization schemes of EA, Perfect World. As much, I only play Star Trek Online because I'm a Star Trek fan, honestly. Because if it weren't for that, I'd say fuck that shit. Because with the R&D promotions they do and all these other lock boxes with these ships that come out that you can put on the market for hundreds of millions of EC energy credits, by the way, that's a virtual value. That's a virtual worth to it. That's gambling. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that it's not. A random chance of getting something great or something dirt. Okay, you either get something that you're just going to discard, or you're going to get 777 and get that brand new shiny ship, or LeBron James, or Pele, depending on what game you're playing, and bam, now you have something of real worth. Maybe it's something you wanted and you keep it, and that's great for you, or maybe you part ways with it, and you make a little on the side. That's gambling, folks. You can't say otherwise. Sorry. That's the way it works. And I don't want to see regulation get to the point where they step in and they either remove microtransactions completely, which then makes companies that are depending on that revenue to up the sale of their games and create an elite society of gamers that, you You take the have and have-nots that are currently separated by microtransactions, and then you create the have and have-nots between players who are in online communities and single-player communities. Either way, you're going to promote elitism and toxicity. Because you've already seen where people who are defending microtransactions are conveniently the people like those who bought whole fleets in Star Citizen, for example. They're the people who have the money to throw away at their virtual whatever the hell they want. Their virtual refrigerators or their virtual aircraft carriers, whatever the fuck. At the end of the day, it's going to breed elitism. Because the have-nots always want to keep what they have and not give any to the have-nots. The haves protect their investments. The have-nots, while envious of those, are never too good in most experiences. Look at the poor community. They're always kind of given to each other. As a prime example, the have-nots typically are more willing to share what they have than those haves. So, think about that. And speaking of toxicity, we talked about this earlier, brought it up again, bringing it up again. 74% of adults who play games have experienced some form of harassment. People have reported predatory comments in games. People have reported, excuse me, people have reported some white supremacist comments, and the report was shocked to find out that there was white supremacy going on in these chat rooms. Well, me as a longtime gamer who've been in Discords forever, I'm not shocked at the white supremacist talk. Racism and bigotry have always been a part of game chat. It happens. You get these turds all the time. Same with people who harass and sexually harass women. As soon as they're identified, they start flirting. And if they don't respond positively to the flirting, then they get aggressive. It happens all the time. It's nothing new. It's been around since Xbox Live started. This is not news to anybody who's an actual gamer. Might be news to the media. Might be news to governments. And again, we don't want government stepping in on our shit, do we? So the part that I'm most concerned about when it comes to online harassment isn't the trolling. Not even so much the bigotry or even the sexual harassment. If the sexual harassment leads to stalking and eventually rape, that's where I have a problem. If the harassment leads to, when someone got told to kill themselves on cam, that's a problem for me. Well, that article that will also be in the description below listed games like Dota and League of Legends, CSGO, Overwatch, PUBG, as all games that had toxic communities where there was a lot of harassment and rude commentary and stuff going on. And it listed Dota 2 as the worst. I was kind of surprised about that. I actually left League of Legends because of the toxic community. But Riot Games, to their credit, they actually came out with a way of supporting players who have more positive language and they don't credit those who are a little bit more rude and stuff like that. Dota 2 apparently has not picked up on that. Toxic gamers aren't going to go away. Okay? They're not going to go away. It's not going to be something we fix overnight. We as a community have to get better. Now, me as somebody who's had a career in the military and in contracts have a thicker skin than others. My threshold for tolerance is a lot farther ahead than somebody who might be a little more sensitive. And I believe that that threshold should be where the most sensitive person lies. I know that sounds like catering, but I want you to consider and think about it for a second. Is it catering the next time someone kills themselves because they were told to on cam, because they were told they were a shitty player and they're better off, the world's better off without them, or they're a shitty streamer and their content is garbage? Think about that. Is that catering then? No, it fucking isn't. All right? So I want y'all to consider that next time you go out and bully someone on Discord or bully someone on Twitch, bully someone on YouTube or Mixer or whatever the fuck. Seriously, think about that. About whether or not it's actually catering. And that's all I'm going to say on that. If you need more on this news, it's in the description below. Streaming for next week. All right, so possible Borderlands 3 or Destiny 2 stream tonight because of what I owe you from last night, depending on spousal approval. Wink. Come on, babe. Let me play a little bit. Star Trek Online continues next week. Again, back on the Romulan. I know y'all want me just to see me ruin my liver with Romulan ale, so yes, I'll make it happen. Final Fantasy 14 will be next Thursday. Yes, we'll finally get some of those streams in because I'd like to do that before Season of the Harvest starts in 2 weeks. Speaking of Season of the Harvest, I'm going to put a tweet out later tonight with a poll on it. Y'all pick the game that I start with. That'll be Sunday the 29th of September, I believe. So, y'all pick the game. Hopefully it's a good one. We're going to save survival horror for a little bit because I do want to give my best friend Full Metal Boxers an opportunity to get me back for all the jump scares I gave him when he was doing Alien Isolation. You'll have your shot, buddy. So with that, let's wrap this thing up. I hope y'all look forward to seeing the ILM 3 teaser trailer tonight, as well as a possible stream. So catch y'all next time. Tune in next week. Be on at the same time as always. Jarek Cyphus signing out.